Before we begin, thank you very much to Michael M. for contributing to my Patreon campaign over at patreon.com/TJOmega. The support and the help to keep this channel going and to keep things rolling along the way they have been is very appreciated. I cannot thank you all enough. Thank you so much. Now, every time I stream, my chat is loaded with questions about, did you see this? Did you see that? What are your thoughts of this and that? Well, I figured, why not we actually just do a video that is just a roundup of the news of the week so everyone can find out what I think of this and that. So I figured this is a big Transformer week, especially for me. You're seeing it on screen, the reason why right now. I'm going to do a whole video about this once the campaign closes on my final thoughts. But as I'm recording this now, Star Saber's campaign, or I should say Victory Saber's campaign, is up to, I believe, 19,200 backers. And guess what? That is probably not even including retailer numbers, probably not even including numbers out of Japan. I have no doubt that this has already been completely fully funded, and we're getting a full package with this Victory Saber set, and bravo, bravo. We're going to have full thoughts on it, but I have to touch on it now just so people are aware. Yes, this has been very exciting for me to follow. I have been so amped and so interested in seeing how far it goes. And it does my heart good to see that Star Saber got funded easily, whereas it seemed like Unicron, of all characters, struggled. I know Unicron's far more expensive, of course, but considering they put this on HasLab, they put things like this on HasLab if they don't think they're going to do well enough to sell as a normal toy. So, you know what? The fact that it actually made it, and made it quite easily, as it seems to be, that does my heart good. Oh, I'm happy about that. I'm happy to see that. So, we're going to do a full video, like I said, but we're going to move on to the other big news of the week, which is Masterpiece Shouki. The very first figure in the Masterpiece G, MPG, or probably Masterpiece Gatai line. So this is their first attempt at an actual Masterpiece scale combiner, which means this is probably going to cost you an arm and a leg, and then another arm, and then another leg, and presumably cost you a torso as well. I say that because this guy is ranking in at 19,800 yen, or approximately $117 as of this recording. Ooh boy. Ooh boy. Okay, so the figure itself looks really good, and I have no doubt that it's very, very high quality because it's Takara's MP line. I'm sure they went all out with it. The problem I have with it is that for $170, $180, rounded to $180, it's only a little bit bigger than the Autobot cars, which means this guy is going to be probably no bigger than Combiner War Devastator size when all the figures are released, and it's going to cost you a fortune. It's going to cost you more than Unicron did. Because you gotta factor in the fact that you're going to pay shipping 6 times. You're not going to be able to get all 6 pieces of this in one go. Unless you get someone who regret purchased the whole thing and sold it all off all at once, but then you're paying collector markup. Essentially, this is probably going to cost, by the end of the day, this is probably going to cost you maybe even double what Unicron costs. That's absurd. And then when you get in the aftermarket, even worse. I'm not sure how this is going to go. I do think that Takara is very smart to do the train bots first, because they do not have representation in Combiner Wars. They have not had a modern figure in forever, and they have not, and they are also courting Japan's train collector market, which is huge. Trains are a huge piece of culture in Japan. But yeah, I'm sure the engineering is there because it's very complex engineering. This guy has to be a main part of the torso, so it's got a lot of joints that have to be really well made. It's got to hold up a lot of weight. I know there's a reason for the price, but this is going to be extremely cost prohibitive, and it's a risk, but at least they're doing a smart risk. All right, so the Beast Wars anniversary, the Beast Wars vintage line, we'll call it by its proper name, We've seen a rumored list of Wave 2, which includes some interesting listings like K9, I think, not even Wolfang, K9, and Tigatron. But I'm looking at Tigatron, so I'm thinking Tigatron. No. Interesting name, Cyber Shark. Characters that weren't even in the show. And then, yeah, we're staring at Tigatron, who now has a listing for a case of 4. They're selling him by the case of 4, which is a lot of faith to put in Tigatron of all characters. I think it's interesting that it's even the original vintage artwork, where it still has his orange colors and his mutant head prominent. Kind of cool. The only thing left to find out is just how accurate it is to the original toy, because there are some deco tweaks on the vintage figures so far. I'm wondering if this is going to be closer to the original, closer to the TJOmega, where it's bright white plastic to kind of match his colors in the show better, or if it's going to be like the original, where it looks like, someone has smoked around him for the last 20 years. Either way, we do have a Tigatron reissue on the way. Kind of interesting. On to other weird toys. Of all Transformers to be getting a new Pop vinyl figure, they opted for Tracks. This one just got leaked, 2021 Fall Convention Limited Edition exclusive, so this is probably going to be out anytime now. This one is weird. Like the first 8 of the G1 Transformer series, I understand. It's Megatron, Starscream, Shockwave. I still need Shockwave. I haven't been able to find it. But, it's all the core characters. It's the ones you would expect. But Trax is a Season 2 character out of nowhere. I would expect some more prominent characters like Rodimus and Galvatron. I would expect more first-year characters like Hound or Sideswipe. Trax. Which means for the very first time, the character inside the Funko box is just as concerned about his physical appearance and condition than the one buying him. I think it's a weird choice. It's a very weird choice. So we'll see how that one does. I'm seeing how the Funko market goes these days, and I'm way more familiar with it than I ever wanted to be. But with knowing about it like I do now, this one might have more of a tepid reaction. I'm interested to see what it's gonna do. Speaking of Transformer toys coming out that do practically nothing, Reaction just announced some more repaints. They're apparently not interested in doing new molds at this time, but hey, we'll do some repaints. A Christmas edition of Optimus Prime, which kind of looks like something I would do in a coloring book as a kid. Green everywhere. I know it's supposed to be blue. Green. I want green. It's a weird one. He has a candy cane gun, which I would really like to make a joke of, and I cannot come up with one. At least not one clean enough for YouTube. And that wasn't even all. They also announced Golden Lagoon versions of Optimus Prime and Megatron. I don't understand the reaction figures. I understand, okay, so it's solid construction, solid, no hollowing on the parts, no cheaping out or anything like that. And it's the old, like, Star Wars style, Kenner style articulation and size and function and all that. Okay, so there's a little bit of that nostalgia, novelty appealed to it. I don't understand why something that is so simple in construction and so simple in part count was actually as expensive as they are. I own one of them, and it's my boy Blitzwing. And because it's the only cartoon accurate Blitzwing thing that I've been able to get my hands on. So, I'm begging you, Super 7, do like one of your Ultimates figures, or I'm even asking Transformers Red. What am I doing? But I want a Blitzwing that actually looks like Blitzwing, but is not one of these things that doesn't pose or do anything. I don't understand the appeal, but they still make them. I still see reaction figures all over the place, so I guess there's got to be somebody buying them. Alright, so to move on to things that are even weirder in Transformers news, I just thought this was funny. We have World of Warships announcing round 2 of their collaboration with Transformers. You'll know World of Warships as the mobile game that you didn't know about until they did a Transformers collaboration. I only bring it up because I think this that we're seeing on screen right now is absolutely something that would be piloted by IDW Rodimus. He would commission this if he had to sail the high seas. Like, this is so up his alley. This is so his style. I want to ask you, World of Warships, how can you do 2 Transformer collaborations so far and not do Tidal Wave or Broadside? How obvious is that? Apparently, we're not going to do that. Well, we're not going to do that because A, they're not well-known characters, and B, that would require making a new model, and, mobile games don't like doing anything that requires spending more money than they have to. Yeah, so Grimlock got one too, so we can look through them a little bit. Starscream got his. Soundwave got one. There's some weird ones. Rumble has one. Why Rumble of all Transformers to pick? Oddball. So, speaking of oddball releases, I don't understand this one. So, get this right. Get this. So, they're releasing... I'm trying to think of how to pronounce it because I've never actually had to pronounce the word. Tensegrity? Tensegrity. I'm going with that. Tensegrity stand with a Kingdom Ultra Magnus repaint into Optimus Prime. Number 1, not the greatest of molds. So it's a little bit of a weird choice. Now, it's a blatantly obvious choice is what it is because, of course, it's a Optimus Prime truck mode, so of course you're going to do it in Optimus Prime colors, but it's never been a great toy. Look at the back end of that thing. There's no hiding the robot thighs, there's no hiding the robot mode hands. It's even worse as Optimus Prime because at least as Magnus it's all white and it blends together. Here it's just there's blue fists hanging out his back. I don't like this mold. I don't like this mold. I don't. Okay, so I guess it's just hey, it's an Optimus Prime we hadn't technically released yet, so let's just do it. I'm kind of interested to see when people get this one in hand and they start combining it with Magnus armor and see how that looks. So that's about the only amusement I got. The stands are weird. Okay, so if you've never seen one of these things, this is kind of a tension trick of physics. So the top stand is actually being held up by the bottom stand. So you see that cable, that the wire that's going from the 2 hooks. So that's holding it up. Just the way you would, just like it was like a hanging ornament, except the weight is over it instead of under it. And to keep it balanced from tipping in any one direction, it has 3 more wires that are all kept tense in order to prevent it from falling in any one direction, which means you get this fairly stable stand that seems to defy the laws of physics and float there. It's an interesting visual trick, bit gimmicky, and feels like between just an obvious Optimus Prime repaint and a gimmicky stand, feels like a way of just making a package that's as expensive as possible. It's a bizarre combination, but you know what? There's some interesting bits about it, so they're not going to hurt. It's not going to hurt anything. It's just a weird stand is basically what it is. It's at least interesting. So I think the one that people would probably ask me the most about, and our final news topic of the day, we are looking at Transformers Legacy's leaked image of the Cybertron Metroplex Titan class figure. So Titans are not done. We are going to be getting a Titan next year, about the same time we always get them. $190 this time, so the price is going up. And you know what? What's scary about that is Cybertron Metroplex is not the most complicated design to get. It kind of worries me that the price is going up, even though something so simple is being made at that scale. So 22-inch scale robot, which makes it just a hair shorter than Fortress Maximus and Metroplex. He's going to be closer to Omega Supreme in height, but that's actually going to make him, oddly enough, probably close to scale with your actual Cybertron toys. If you've been still hanging on to those, finally you'll have a character from Gigantia or Gigalonia. Gigalonia, I thought was a cooler name. That's actually going to scale with those original toys. Kind of interesting. That part of it's interesting. Features large axe and bucket scoop accessory. I'm not seeing a Minicon, and I am not seeing a Cyber Key. So I don't get to have the things I liked about that toy. Includes FOP custom illustration. No idea what that is. yeah, it looks like Cybertron Metroplex, which is a very simple toy. They're still trying to make that workbot mode a thing. It's not. It's just a halfway transformed toy. It does look like it actually looks like it's split the axe bucket in half and attached them to the front of the arms. So it actually has more of a workbot look to it than it used to. That's an interesting change. Not quite sure just how much more it got changed to it. Probably not a lot. The thing you forget, the vehicle mode is so generic and just like, he's just like, it's basically him in the fetal position is what it is. And that's not much of a vehicle mode. It never has been. And you can kind of tell that even the designers and even the people in charge of this aren't quite sure what to do exactly with that vehicle, because if I remember my Cybertron Metroplex correctly, that vehicle mode shot is backwards. It's supposed to be facing the other way. If I remember right, the arms were the rear treads, and the cockpit was actually on the other side. Could be remembering that wrong. Don't think I am, though. So, weird. I was really hoping, when Metroplex came up in the listings again, I was really hoping it was going to be G1 Metroplex to replace the original Titan figure, because that one was Fall of Cybertron based and aesthetically doesn't quite get along with the other Titans that we've had since then. And I'd really like for them to take another stab at it now that they've had more experience at the size class and can actually maybe work it a little bit better. I think they could have done a little bit more. So this is weird. This is disappointing to me that a Cybertron toy is coming out, a brand new Cybertron figure, but it's a complete non-character. He was released basically to see how tall they could make a figure at the leader price point, and that was what he was, because everything else about him was just very simple, including characterization. I'm hoping this is a precursor, because at the very least, maybe we get the planet leaders, we get an override, we get a Scourge. That would be really nice. And that means we'd get a new evac, who is a fantastic design that I'd love to see again. But that's going to be my news roundup. Those are my thoughts and opinions of the major Transformers news of the week. And stay tuned, because I believe tomorrow we get to talk Victory Saber at length and really take a look at what that crowdfunding campaign was and what we get to look forward to now that we finally know, yes, Victory Saber is being released. So, stay tuned. I will see you then. And hit the like and subscribe so I know if you actually like me doing these videos or not. That stuff is actually super important for letting me gauge exactly how all the new content is going. So, do that. Thank you. Guys, I am facing the most powerful enemy any YouTuber can face, the algorithm, and I need your help to defeat him. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. Every time you do, we attack that algorithm and we drive it back until it can no longer defeat this channel. Thank you very much.